Welcome back. After their strong election night on Tuesday, Republicans are even more bullish about winning control of the House next year, and now even the 50-50 Senate. Senator Rick Scott of Florida is the head of the Republican Senate Campaign Committee, and he joins me now. Senator Scott, welcome back to Meet the Press, sir.
It's great. It was a good day for Republicans on Tuesday, and I think it puts us in a position we're going to have a great November 22.
Let me start with something here that stuck out to me. That as unpopular as Joe Biden was in Virginia, Donald Trump was actually more unpopular. Both Glenn Youngkin and Jack Ciattarelli had a similar stance on how to deal with Donald Trump. They didn't attack him or denounce him, but they didn't embrace him or hug him, and sort of sending a message a bit to independent voters. Is that the better formula? And is that the formula you're looking for in Republican candidates in battleground states in 2022?
Well, first, I hope Democrats continue to be obsessed with Donald Trump. I think Terry McAuliffe would probably run his campaign differently. He wouldn't focus his whole campaign on Donald Trump. I think what we have to do is we have to say we would love Donald Trump's endorsement. If you're a Republican, you want his endorsement, but you're going to win on the issues. And if you listen to Ron Klein and you listen to Phil Murphy, they didn't get it. What Americans are fed up with, they're fed up with inflation, they're fed up with their kids being indoctrinated in their schools, and they're fed up with defunding the police. Those are the issues that people care about. And so I think this obsession with Donald Trump is going to be good for Republicans next year.
So you're okay, because one of the things you had said is you didn't want Donald Trump to, you were hoping he would not get involved in open Senate primaries, that you were hoping you didn't want to get involved in open Senate primaries, and you wanted the former president to be the same way. But he's not taken your advice. Does that complicate your ability to recruit candidates that you think can win?
Absolutely not. I believe Republicans ought to let the voters decide. I remember my primary in 2010, my opponent had every Republican endorsement in the country almost, and I won because I focused on the issue. So I think you'd be foolish not to want and accept Donald Trump's endorsement, but you're going to win not because somebody endorses you. You're going to win because you focus on making sure inflation gets stopped, making sure people get a job, making sure your kids aren't indoctrinated on critical race theory, make sure we have safe communities. That's going to be the issues that people care about.
You had said you're going to support all incumbents, and I'm just curious, does that include Lisa Murkowski, where the former president has endorsed a primary challenger? And when you say you support, does that mean you will financially support Lisa Murkowski and actually help run a campaign against a primary opponent?
Absolutely. We support the National Republican Central Committee. We support all of our incumbents. And fortunately for us, we've got great candidates running in our primaries. And fortunately for us, we've got Bernie Sanders candidates on the other side in many primaries. And so we're going to be in a great position in 22.
Let me ask you this. If you win the majority in the Senate, is there something that a Republican Senate majority is going to want to work with President Biden on? Or are we looking at 2 years of gridlock?
Well, I always say when we win, we're going to, in 22. Look, I want to work with Democrats, but here's what I want to do. I want to create the best economy we could ever have. We had a great economy under President Trump. I want to make sure kids get a great education. I want to fund the police. I want to fund our military. So now if the Democrats want to continue to bankrupt our country, continue to raise the debt ceiling, continue to raise taxes, I'm going to fight that. I came to Washington to fight that stuff. I cut taxes and fees 100 times as governor. I paid off the third estate debt. I had record funding for education, for the environment, for transportation. Those are things I want to do, but I'm not going to go, and I hope Republicans don't go down this path of wasting money, because eventually it costs somebody money.
You think it was a mistake for Republicans to support the bipartisan infrastructure bill?
Well, everybody gets to make their own choice, but here's the way I looked at it. I like infrastructure. To me, that's roads, bridges, airports, and seaports. I spent $85 billion in my years as governor, but guess what? I cut taxes, and I also paid off the third of the state debt. That bill, remember how they promised it was going to be paid for? It wasn't. It wasn't paid for, and less than half of it dealt with roads, bridges, airports, and seaports. Let's do a bill that's we should do things and be honest what it is. Let's just do real infrastructure, and let's quit saying that we're not going to raise your taxes eventually because we have these deficits. Chuck, we almost have $30 trillion worth of debt. $30 trillion worth of debt. We have to hope to God that our interest rates never go up, because it will never be paid for. And by the way, There's no conversation about we've got to fix Medicare. We've got to fix Social Security to make sure they're funded and these programs can continue to last. The Democrats in D.C. and Republicans continue to waste your money, and I'm going to oppose it all the way along.
I got to ask you something from our last poll, because it is driving, I think, a major divisive point in American politics. And it's this issue of, do you believe Joe Biden was elected legitimately? 93% of Democrats believe that, 71% of independents, but only 22% of Republicans believe Joe Biden was elected legitimately. Why is that?
I can tell you Joe Biden is the president. We went through the constitutional process he was elected. Now, I do believe there's a lot of buyer's remorse. A lot of people are scared to death. It's ridiculous. There's unbelievable inflation. Gas prices up 50%, food prices up, housing prices up. The botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, all these things.
I understand what you're saying, but why you're part of the 22% that believe he was legitimately elected. Why do 4 and 5 Republicans not believe that?
Well, I think you'd have to ask them, but I think Joe Biden is elected president. But what we've got to do right now is got to figure out how do we start helping these families, because I can tell you what, in D.C. that's not happening.
Senator, I think we both know the reason why that is, and let me put up something that the former president put out on October 21st, not like 6 months ago. This is like 3 weeks ago. And he said this: the insurrection took place on November 3rd, Election Day. January 6th was the protest. Is there any part of that statement that you agree with?
First, Chuck, Democrats are focused on Donald Trump. Americans are focused on the future. So you can go ask all these questions about why people think the way they do. I can tell you what, we're going to win in 22 because we're going to talk about issues. We're not going to talk about the last election.
But you don't think it's a mistake to denounce what the former president is saying as a lie? I mean, it's not healthy. You won 3 elections by less than 1%. You won 3 elections, by the way, by a less of a raw vote than the state of Pennsylvania, where you voted to object. Every one of your Democratic opponents conceded. Why hasn't former President Trump conceded?
I think you'd have to ask President Trump. I mean, first off, let's put it in perspective. My opponent in 18 did not concede until we went through 2 recounts and they're illegally found ballots after election night. So let's don't act like these people just, oh gosh, you're right, you won.
That's not exactly what happens out here.
We have plenty of Democrats that don't. We have plenty. Chuck. Wait a second. We got plenty of Democrats that don't concede. Okay, that's what happened. So here's what happened. We have a duly elected president. Okay, if the Constitution was followed, I hope Democrats keep focused all their time on Donald Trump. Republicans are going to focus on the issues, and we're going to win big in 22, and that's exactly what I plan on doing.
You're not at all concerned that former President Trump is helping to create a false narrative that there's something wrong with our elections?
I'm focused on how do we win in 22, and I know exactly how to win. Do what I did in my 3 races, focus on issues. And by the way, if anybody wants to help make sure we win, go to nrsc.org. You can donate and make sure we win back the majority. And Chuck Schumer is no longer the majority leader and take us down this ridiculous socialist path.
Speaking of majority leader, are you 100% supportive of Mitch McConnell as majority leader if you win the Senate?
Absolutely. Mitch McConnell, I've known Mitch McConnell since the early 90s. I actually lived in Kentucky and supported him then. I have a good working relationship with Mitch McConnell, and we have elections generally every 2 years for the majority leader.
Senator Rick Scott, Republican from Florida, the man charged with helping Republicans get control of the Senate in 2022. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective with us, sir.
See you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.